Hi everyone, in this video, we're going to build on that by diving into another crucial concept for managing code organization: imports. As your Kotlin projects grow, you'll inevitably need to use code, that is, classes, functions, or properties that are defined in different files or different packages. Simply put, imports are statements that tell your Kotlin file where to find those external declarations. They are essential for making your code modular, readable, and preventing naming conflicts. Every declaration in Kotlin, whether it's a class, a function, or a property, belongs to a package. When you want to use a declaration that's in a different package from your current file, you need to explicitly import it. Think of it like this. If you have a book on your shelf, a declaration, in a different room, a package, you need to import it into your current room, your current file, to read it. Let's explore the different ways to use imports in Kotlin. The most common way to import is to specify the exact declaration you want to use. You do this with the import keyword, followed by the fully qualified name of the declaration. Let's start with a simple example. Imagine we have a utility function greetUser in a package com.tonguin.kotlinbasics.utils, as we saw when discussing packages. Now, in our import.kt file, which might be in the default package or another package, if we try to call greetUser directly, we'll get a compilation error. The compiler doesn't know where to find this function. To fix this, we need to import it. We add an import statement at the top of our import.kt file, specifying the full path to our greetUser function. As you can see, after adding import com.tonguin.kotlinbasics.utils.greetUser, the greetUser function becomes directly accessible by its short name greetUser. This import statement effectively brings that specific function into the scope of our current file. Kotlin doesn't distinguish between importing classes or functions. You can import any kind of public declaration using this method. Your integrated development environment, like IntelliJ IDEA or Android Studio, is typically very smart. If you start typing a function or class name that exists in another package, the IDE will often automatically suggest and add the necessary import statement for you. This greatly speeds up your coding process. Sometimes, you might need to use many declarations from a single package. Instead of importing each one individually, Kotlin allows you to import all public declarations from a package using a wildcard asterisk symbol. Let's add another function to our com.tonguin.kotlinbasics.utils package. Add a farewell user function. Now, back in import.kt, change the import to a wildcard import. Run the code to show both greetings. With import com.tonguin.kotlinbasics.utils, asterisk, both greetUser and farewell user are now available in our main function scope. This is convenient, but it should be used with a bit of caution. Importing everything might bring in many names that you don't actually use, potentially making it harder to tell where a specific function or class originates from, and could lead to name conflicts if another imported package has a declaration with the same name. Generally, it's a good practice to prefer specific imports, but wildcard imports can be very useful for well-known utility packages or for quick prototyping. What if you have two different packages that both define a class or function with the exact same name? For example, imagine we have two logger classes from two different logging libraries. Directly importing both would cause an ambiguity error. This is where import renaming or aliasing comes in handy. You can rename an imported declaration using the as keyword. This allows you to give it a unique local name within your file to avoid conflicts. Let's simulate a scenario with two log message functions from different, imaginary, packages. Back in import.kt, Attempt to import both log message functions, show error, then fix with as. If we import this directly, and then this, it will cause an error due to duplicate name. To fix it, renaming one of them. Run the code to show output from both loggers. Here, we imported logArray.logMessage directly, and then imported loggerB.logMessage, but renamed it logMessageB using as. Now, we can call both functions without any ambiguity. This technique is particularly useful for extension functions, where the syntax requires you to use the short name, making renaming with as crucial to avoid conflicts. It's important to remember that Kotlin code, including top-level functions and properties, functions not wrapped in a class, is part of packages. When you compile Kotlin code, especially top-level functions, the Kotlin compiler generates Java bytecode. For example, a file named utils.kt containing top-level functions will be compiled into a Java class named utilskt, or utils if annotated with that file, JVM name, utils. And the top-level functions become static methods within that generated class. Imports handle this underlying structure for you, allowing you to use the Kotlin idiomatic short names. Key takeaways for imports. Import keyword. Used to bring classes, functions, and properties from other packages into your current file's scope. Specific imports. Import com.package.name. Declaration are generally preferred for clarity. Wildcard imports. Import com.package.name. Asterisk import all public declarations and are useful but should be used carefully to avoid conflicts. Import renaming. Import com.package.name. Declaration as alias helps resolve naming conflicts when multiple packages define declarations with the same name. IDE support. Your IDE will often automatically manage imports for you, making coding smoother. Essential for organization. Imports are fundamental for building well-structured, modular, and readable Kotlin applications. By mastering imports, you can effectively manage dependencies and keep your codebase clean and organized, which is a hallmark of good programming practice. That concludes our deep dive into imports in Kotlin. In our next video, we'll dive into Kotlin's next component. So see you guys in the next lecture.